Hello, everyone. We'll get started in a minute. Just need to check that everybody can hear and see me. So if you can hear and see me, please just tell me in the chat, and then we'll get started as soon as I know. Thank you for attending this evening. So if anyone can just let me know in the chat if you can hear and see me. There's a slight delay, I should say. There's maybe a 10-20 second delay on the chat. Okay, Paul. Thank you, Paul. Dave, nice to see you guys. Thank you. Gary, yep. Okay, brilliant. Who else have we got? Ian, Mark, Victor, Tamir. Tell me if I'm pronouncing any of your names wrong. Okay, let's get started then, shall we? So, welcome to the Inside Man live Q&A. My name is Duncan Moreland, and I'm your host for this evening. And I'll be introducing you to the real star of the show, Adam Cheng, in just a moment, who I think is the world's best football bettor. In fact, in terms of consistency and real-world betting performance, I'd be tempted to call him one of the world's best bettors, full stop. That's why tonight is so exciting, I think. This is your chance to ask Adam any question you like about his approach to football betting. Like, how did he make more than £817,000 over the last 9 years, while most bettors and pro tipsters lose money? And any questions about his tipping service, Inside Man, where he's already made members a safe and steady 141 points over 3 football seasons, which to £100 stakes is more than £14,000. So during this live Q&A, we'll cover Adam's fully scalable football betting strategy, what markets he bets on, how he consistently gets an edge on the UK's most popular sport, which is football, and what separates his approach from other bettors and tipsters, how he manages his emotions while betting hundreds, even thousands of pounds per bet. You don't bet on behalf of the high-end bookmakers like you used to, or win consistently for nearly a decade solo without learning to manage your emotions. Here's a clue. Adam believes wholeheartedly in the laws of probability. And how he literally makes thousands, even tens of thousands of pounds each month without getting restricted by bookmakers. Plus, because this is a live Q&A, you'll be able to ask Adam any question you like about his approach to football betting or his tipping service, Inside Man. Also, by attending this evening, you'll get an exclusive free tip from Adam, usually only available to paying members. And the chance, if you're interested, to lock in Inside Man membership just early on in the football season. So Adam's just getting going with the bets. Plus, you can get currently exclusive access to the in-depth football betting course I produced with Adam called Adam Cheng's Football Betting Masterclass for 50% off the usual price. More on that after the Q&A. But first, before we bring on Adam, I just want to quickly give you 6 reasons why I think he's such a special bettor. Number 1, Adam made more than £817,000 over 9 years. Here's the lowdown on his extremely impressive personal betting track record. Since he started recording his personal bets in 2014, Adam's made £817,617. That's over the last 9 years, as I say. That works out at about 90 grand per year. He's had 83 out of 98 winning months. So 83 of the months were winners. So that's a monthly strike rate of about 84%. And he's used this money to support his wife and 2 kids. It's worth saying that betting is Adam's full-time occupation. Number 2, Inside Man made 141 points over 3 football seasons. So here's the lowdown on the Inside Man track record, and you can see some images there to support it. Since Inside Man launched in February 2020, Adam has made his Inside Man members 141 points over 3 seasons. So to £10 stakes, that's about £1,400. To £25 stakes, that's more than £3,000. To £50 stakes, that's more than £7,000. And to £100 stakes, that's about £14,000. And that's all tax-free because this is betting. Adam recommends a small bank of 30 points, which is basically him saying, I'm super confident in these bets, which we'll talk about later on. And as proof of this, the inside man's strike rate, so how many bets he wins versus loses, is a very stable 52%. So number 3, betting is in Adam's blood. Here's the Cliff Notes version of Adam's lifelong history with betting. He started betting as a teenager with help from a friend's bookmaker father. He earned a master's in sociology of sport at university. He's a former odds compiler at high-end bookmaker Fitzdares in Mayfair, London. He became head of football trading at that company and started proprietary trading for them, betting with their money. And as I say, he's made more than £800,000 over the last near decade from his own personal betting, and he's run 2 successful tipping services, including his current one, Inside Man. Number 4, expert independent reviewers love Adam's tips too. Maybe that's because Adam made Gold Profits reviewers 25 points in 6 months. That's an ROI, or return of investment, of 11%. To give you some perspective, the stock market might do between 6 and 8% on average per year. They concluded Inside Man makes money, and they gave it a 100% pass. And Adam made Make Money Forum reviewers 12 points in 30 days. That's an ROI of 30%. They concluded Adam provides genuine value and the potential for long-term profit at a third of the price of other tipsters. So number 5, Inside Man members love what Adam's doing too. So here's some feedback from Inside Man members. Inside Man is Adam's paid service. So Paul M says he's very impressed. Chris S says it's very easy to find the bets. Neville says impressive analysis. And Peter says he's made a good profit. And here's a little montage. There's the little montage of screenshots from the Inside Man Telegram community. And that includes praise from 2 other pro tipsters. So that's Mel G of First Class Racing and Neil Shah of NS Bets, who both keep an eye on Adam's bets because they think they're so good. So reason 6, I think Adam's betting is so special, is he's generous, which he's going to prove to you tonight because he's going to share an exclusive free tip. This free tip is usually only available to paying Inside Man members, but is available to live Q&A attendees just this once too. It'll be time urgent, so best placed as soon as you can. And we'll give you a taste of Adam's bets in the real world, e.g. how easy they are to get on and hopefully how profitable they can be. We're going to give you the free tip at the beginning of the Q&A, so just in a moment when I bring on Adam, and that's because he said there's some games on tonight and the tip might take advantage of them. So that is everything I wanted to cover, so let me see if Adam is there and we can start asking him your questions. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
It's like we're playing that. How are you doing, Adam?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Yeah, good.
Can everyone in the chat just let me know if they can hear and see Adam, and then we'll get going. So, Adam, you wanted to share a tip with people.
Yeah. I just wanted to do it at the start, just because there's a few kickoffs at 7:45. So I just thought get it out at the start, just because I don't think that the games will affect the prices, but they could do. So if you wanted to place them kind of now, if you're watching this after the event, then I'm sure the price will still be there. So the tip is looking at...
hold on. So okay. So some people are saying that you're a bit quiet, but other people are saying it's okay.
Oh, okay.
You sound okay to me.
I'll try and speak a bit louder then.
Yeah, sure. Maybe just bring the laptop slightly closer. But yeah. There'll be a replay of the event going out tomorrow for anyone that wants to watch it back. But yeah, so Adam, do you want to tell people your tip?
Yeah, so the tip is looking at one of the Euro qualifying. We've had Euro qualifiers this weekend and week. So looking at Spain's group, the prices to win the group. This is Spain and Scotland's group. Basically, it's a sort of match between the two teams who can win the group. So Spain are 3s on, 1-3. Scotland are 9-4. This is with everyone pretty much. So should be easy to get on. I like Scotland at 9-4. It's a price thing, really. As in, I think the prices should be closer together. 1-3 and 9-4 just seems wrong to me. Basically, this just assumes that assuming that Spain beat Scotland in Spain and win their other games in hand. They'll be equal on points, and then they've got the rest of the games to go. And then if they all win the rest of their games, it will go down to goal difference. But my biggest factor on this is basically the other good team in the group, Norway, is when Spain have got to play them and when Scotland have got to play them. So Spain have got to play them. So basically, Spain play Scotland next. Then after that, Spain have got to go to Norway, and Norway are going to take that game very seriously because they'll still be, they'll still have eyes on second place in the group. So all the big guns will play. Norway's not an easy place to go to. Spain have slipped up in loads of places recently, last few years, and I think there'll be a bigger price in that game than Scotland will when they play Norway, which is at home at Hampden in the last game of the group. Like, Hampden will be rocking. They've won loads in a row. I think they've won 11 qualifiers in a row now, Scotland. They're not a bad team. And I think in that game, Norway will be dead and buried in the group, and they will, Haaland and Odegaard, their best players, might be rested. They just won't really take it seriously, and Scotland will be bang up for it. And if Scotland win that game, then they've got every chance of winning the group. And I think they will win that game. It also assumes that Spain are going to beat Scotland in Spain. I mean, they probably will do, but the game in Scotland won 2-0, and it was a very even. It was a deserved victory. It was a very even game. They both had the same amount of shots on target in the game, and that was despite Scotland scoring after 7 minutes of the match. So in normal circumstances, especially with quite a defensive team like Scotland, you would expect Spain to have loads of sort of territory and shots after the rest of the game after 7 minutes, but they didn't. It was an equal game, and so that just proved that Scotland can hold their own. They've got some good players, and there's a small chance of them getting a result in Spain, and if they do, then they will definitely win the group. You would think. So I just think the price should be nearer to pick, and then maybe not. Spain are probably still favourites, but I think 9-4 Scotland is a bit big. So that's the bet. Scotland to win their qualifying group. I think it's Group A at 9-4. I think that settles in. I think the last games are in November, so you got, what is it now, September? So you got like 2.5 months to it settles. But something to keep an eye on anyway. But yes, that would be the
So and if anyone wants to go back and watch Adam's analysis, then as I say, we'll send out a recording, so you'll be able to sort of rewatch what he just says, and we'll send that out tomorrow. But that was a really good example of the way you approach betting, which is value first, which I want to get into in a moment. But first, I kind of gave people a kind of bird's eye view of your background in betting. Yeah. But for anyone that's never met you before or heard of you, when did betting start for you?
Yeah. So as you said in the introduction, it was, when I was young. It was, seems a long time ago now, but, my best friend's father was a bookmaker. So he basically taught me I loved it. He taught me how to price up a race, how to price up a football match. I used to watch the racing and football around their house the whole time, have play spots on the racing, have ACCAs on the football. And I learned sort of a lot from him, really. Alongside that, I was going to watch football every Saturday, going to watch Ipswich. And so obviously I built up a knowledge of football and, watching all the games on TV that were on then, and built up a lot, knowledge of football and during the 90s. And that was obviously alongside the betting knowledge that I had from him, and being interested in it myself, going into the bookies all the time. And then went to university, as you said, did a master's in sociology of sport. My dissertation was on gambling. It was on the relationship between gambling and the development of horse racing in this country. which helped me get a job at Fitzdares, a high-end bookie in London. And I was there for 8 years. First 3 were sort of learning the ropes, really, how to handle big bets and how the market moves and stuff. That was the first time I was kind of exposed to, like, the other side, like how it works on a big scale, basically, to big clients and that. And then I became head of football trading there. So it was basically my job to price up the football and to take the big bet. So it was on my head, basically, when we, all the business that we took from on football, and there were big bets as well. So it was quite a high pressure.
But you said, I remember you saying before that you were profitable for the company, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was that, and then there was also prop trading as well. So I'd use the company's money. I was given a pot of the company's money to put into the market to bet, basically, with that, be it shops or Betfair, wherever I could get on, basically. Quite large bets, as you would in the city, how they do trading in the city, basically. That was basically the job, basically making money betting on football. It became, that became more was what I was doing rather than taking the bets. It basically got to that at the end, and then I was just basically making. Well, the focus for me then became making myself, getting the nice prices myself rather than for companies. So obviously it was in everyone's interest if I I wanted to just do it myself, basically, so I didn't have anyone to answer to. And I basically stopped working for a company and just gambled for a living. I've done that for, I don't know, getting on for 8 years now, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people can say that betting has been their primary income, and you've got a wife and kids as well. Like so like not many people can say that they're able to
tax free as well.
Yeah, that's the nice thing, isn't it? And obviously, like, it's your passion as well. That always comes across when we speak. Like, it's something you love doing. So
it's not a chore to watch every football match. So I say to my wife, I'm working tonight.
So I've got some questions I'm going to ask you about strategy and stuff. If any of your audience members have questions, just put them in the chat, and we'll ask Adam your questions, and you can do that at any point. So if you think of a question as we're chatting, just stick it in the chat. So Adam, can you just give us like a bird's eye view of your football betting strategy? Like, what is your approach compared to other people's?
So I because I've got quite a lot of time on my hands, obviously my job, focusing on that all day is I have like my data, so I do spreadsheets of stats. Is a lot of my betting is now like prop market, so it's like player stuff, like corners, cards, that kind of thing, rather than just like a team to win. I do some 1x2 and like over under goals, but less so these days, really, just because there's sort of more value in the prop stuff, like the more obscure stuff. And so I do all those numbers and analysis, basically watching games and analysing games, trying to spot things that perhaps commentators and other punters might not have spotted. So that's who you're going up against. So it's got to the stage now where there's so much sort of expected goals is like on Match of the Day, like you've got a lot of like stats going about that you kind of keep having to get ahead of. It's almost like where it's got to the stage where like your analysis is more important than the stats themselves. Like the stats are like a starting point, and then you can analyze. So what I do is I look at the stats, and then are those stats right? Like, as in, do they fully reflect what actually happened, and how it happened? And that is probably my strength, really, is to basically use those stats that everyone uses, but to say like where are they right and wrong in terms of like, did did a team deserve to win? Did a team, basically looking for signs where prices might be wrong the following week or in future weeks or in the anti-post markets. So I'm constantly looking at the prices of everything and just updating my stats and just basically considering everything. And that's and looking for value. Basically, that's basically the approach.
Yeah, it's the value thing that always stuck out to me.
The probability side of it.
Yeah, and I guess, but one of the things you said then is stats are everywhere, and that includes in bookmaker market. Pricing up in bookmakers are using.
So the bookmakers will use those stats. Yeah, they'll use those stats to make the prices, and it's basically getting ahead of those stats. So where it used to be getting ahead of like the results that they'd use, it's now getting ahead of the stats, and it's the same sort of thing really. You just need to analyse it more, and I've just got my ways of doing it, and they've been sort of tried and tested for years, and that's the way I do it.
Adam, can you stick your room light on? Is that all right? Is it near?
Yeah, hold on.
It's just getting a bit dark. There we go.
Better?
Yeah, I should have thought that before, but yeah. So can you talk people through what you mean when you talk about value? And I brought up probability earlier because I don't think, because you bet with really large sums of money and you are able to sort of emotionally stay consistent over years and years and not sort of chase losses and that kind of thing. And when we've spoken before, it seems to all come back to your understanding of value and pricing and probability. So can you just explain that?
So basically you have to think about what the probability is of something happening, and if the price that you're getting, if the returns you're getting exceed that probability, then that is when you have a bet. So I will do my tissue, or I don't really do tissue these days, but like I'll think about what price I think something should be, or what line I think something should be, and I will look at the price, and if it's out, then I'll have a bet. And obviously, if it's more out, I'll have a bigger bet. So, yeah, as you say, it's basically coming up with what probability you think something is. And if the price that you're getting differs or is much bigger than the probability that you think is, then obviously, or if the probability you think is much bigger than the price you're getting, then yeah, obviously that's what dictates how much you bet, basically.
And so a lot of people have tried, say, like match betting, where you get a guaranteed win. You're offsetting bookmakers against each other. Or with
I mean that's arbing. That's simple, like arbing. That's obviously guaranteed.
But you have to me, it seems like you have a kind of belief in a guaranteed profit over time. So not for individual games, exactly. But what you're
it's almost like the result of an individual game or a bet is irrelevant. It's basically the results and profit that you're making over not even a month, like a 3-month period. That is what you've got to be looking at, and that is what you've got to basically have faith in. And that is why the stakes will, as you said, more or less stay similar based on the value, obviously. If you have a bad few weeks or whatever, you just got, as long as you've got faith in your approach. I'll always, try and refine the approach and see where I'm going wrong and right, and just try and improve all the time, obviously. But unless there's a massive change in something, then I'll just keep doing that. And then if I have like a bad couple of months, I just keep doing the same thing, and over time it will come good, because variance is always going to be there, where you're going to have a bad run and you're going to lose a few bets. You can lose like 20 in a row, and it's obviously like but you take emotion out of it, as you say, and you carry on. Basically. And in the belief that you so I've done it for years and years and years. I know what I'm doing, I'd like to think. So just carry on doing what I'm doing, and it will come good in the end. You're looking at the overall yearly figure rather than a figure on one day. Yeah, and obviously that includes, you don't chase your losses. Obviously, simple thing to say, but a lot of people do it. Even like pro punters I know, will force bets if they're on a bad run, and that's the worst thing you can do. Just stay level headed. Don't let it affect you either way. Don't get beyond cloud nine if you have a good run, and don't sort of go be really upset if you have a bad run. Just keep going, and it'll be fine. Yeah.
So, and it is that belief in having value, and to me, it was really counterintuitive when you first explained that to me. Because if we talk about the Scotland game you just brought up as well, like you said, like they're not necessarily the best team, but so you're not saying that Spain is going to win. I mean, you're not saying Spain is going to lose, but just looking at the prices, the value of Scotland.
Yes, that's a good point. Basically, I think that maybe they should be like 6-4, 13-8, rather than 9-4. So the idea is it might well lose this bet, but if you had this bet 50 times, I would say that you would be in profit, because every time, in my opinion, you're getting an edge. So you're getting an edge of 9-4 from 13-8. Say, I don't know what the real price is, probably 7-4, something like that. But like, if you're getting an edge on every bet, then mathematically certain you are going to make money. It's mathematically certain that you're going to make money if you're getting an edge on every bet. Like, there's no way that you will lose money if you're getting an edge on every bet. So, yeah, as you say, just that is the bet. You might lose this one, but if you had it 50 times, I would like to think if I've got it right, then it will be profitable. Yeah.
So that leads well, and if as I say, if anyone in the audience has got questions they want to ask Adam, stake sizes, about bookmaker restrictions, more about his strategy, other markets he bets on, just stick it in the chat, and we'll ask him. So how do you get an edge on football? Because it's the UK's most popular sport. I think it's the most popular betting sport in the UK.
As I said, it's just analysis. Like, so watching every game, like analysing it, doing my own numbers, and deciding where, spotting stuff that that basically the market hasn't, pretty much, and getting good bets on like where the prices are wrong, and because I'm betting on like high level football, like Premier League, Football Champions League, Championship, probably not much lower than that. It's quite easy to get the bets on. It's easier to get bets on that stuff, easier than like horse racing or like other sports, just because everyone's into. They like bookmakers just want to take bets on Premier League football because they think they're not going to lose on Premier League football, because they think the prices are so solid. But they're not all the time. Like you can pick and choose your. You don't have to bet on every game. Like, you pick and choose the markets and the matches you're betting on. And, I might have, like, on a weekend, I might have only like 3 bets, of all those markets and matches. So, like, I'm picking and choosing and just, only really betting where I see that there's value. And, a lot of the markets will be correct and priced correctly where they're getting their margin, and you're going to lose over time betting that stuff. But there's enough juice in those ones that are wrong, and in those prop markets that you can get good bets on and make good money like from that.
So Ian's posted a question in the chat. I'll ask you a question in one moment, Ian. I just want to ask Adam about the markets he bets on. So can you explain? You don't just bet on player performance markets, but can you just explain the markets you do bet on? The types of bets you do have.
Well, as I said, I do sometimes have like 1x2 bets. So I'll sometimes have, weekly I will have, still have like traditional 1x2. When I say 1x2, I mean like a team to win, or like over under 2.5 goals. I will have that still, where I see value, but that will be like a lower margin win than the player stuff. Maybe the corners. The corners is quite good, because corners is basically based on, it's the same as the player. So I do a lot of player passes bets, and player passes is basically less based on the player and more based on the way the game is going to go. So like the tactics of each team, how the game is going to be played out, who's going to have the possession, how much possession, what percentage possession they're going to have, and that basically correlates with how many passes that the players will have. So I look at the players' passes that they've had in previous games. I'll look at equivalent players' number of passes and shots against that opposition, and anything else that, you know, I feel has context. So you've got to think about all the context stuff. Like, for example, if someone plays like an international tonight, a 90 minutes, like a hard international in South America, say, that's an obvious example, but like they're more likely to be substituted at the weekend. Like the bookie won't necessarily take that into account when they're pricing up like how many shots or passes they're going to have. Like they won't think about, they'll look at like how many shots and passes that player has had in the last 5 games and come up with an average of that. They won't, or, you know, and think about the opposition very loosely, but they won't do some context like, oh, he was playing in Bolivia on Tuesday night, you know, and he's had you know, or the plane was delayed or something. You know what I mean? Like any sort of context that you can use, like to, or, you know, something that the manager's said. Like I often find manager comment, like press conferences, sometimes can be interesting. Like what they say, you know, they can basically give a good idea of like how, if there's going to be any differences in how a team is going to approach a game compared to like the last game, which is what the bookies will be looking at, or if they're going to, you know, if they're thinking, oh, I'll give this player like 70 minutes and then maybe take him off or something like that. Like that, you know, the bookies will be pricing out probably as if they were playing 90 minutes. So yeah, all that stuff really you can look at, and that's what I try and sort of look at as much as possible and put everything together, and then just decide, you know, what I'm doing in terms of those prop markets.
Yeah, I think context is the key word there. When like you just said, when the bookmaker is having to price up loads of markets and then probably using simple metrics to do that. Like you said, like a player's passes in the last 10 games or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're looking at team dynamics and stuff. So a player will be able to pass less if they're playing a team that's really offensive because they just won't have the chance or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. If they're playing a team that presses high, they'll have like less time on the ball to pick their passes compared to, and, you know, a lot of the time those pressing teams will be at the bottom of the league, and the bookie will say, you know, oh, they're playing that team at the bottom of the league, they're rubbish, so like let's put this player's passes at a high line or shots at a high line, whereas actually they'll get less passes in that game than they might against a big, you know, team that doesn't press as much. So yeah, I mean, that's on a simple level, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, so context is key. So Ian's asked, and if you've got any follow-up, Ian, just any follow-up questions, Ian, just stick it in the chat as well. So Ian says, hi, Adam, talking about analysing statistics, I spend a great deal of time back-testing strategies, looking at specific odd ranges. Am I on the right tracks? Any advice would be great.
Odds ranges. The thing is with like strategies with I mean, I don't know, it's each to their own. Like my strategy is like analyzing stuff like qualitatively, like as in, you know, as I said, all those things that I've just said there, rather than like coming up with like a strategy whereby like you say, oh, you know, in this month, or not in this month, but like against this opposition or something, however many times in the last 10 times or it's against this opposition, the last 10 times they've played them, this has happened. So as in like the numbers on this is this, they've had this amount of corners. So that is going to happen again. I look less at that and more at like the recent sort of context of stuff, if that's what you're talking about in terms of odds ranges, like trends. You mean if you're talking about trends? I don't know really. Yeah, there is something. People do make a lot of money betting on trends. I don't really. I
guess from some of the conversation we've had so far, like it's maybe it's harder to do that because you're saying data is everywhere. You know, the bookmakers are using statistics.
Well, I just think like each market is like on its own merit. So like, if you're saying, oh, a team that is away from home in League One, for example, and that is priced at say like Wimbledon away from home when they've been priced from 3-1 to 5-1. I don't know if this is what you mean, Ian, but if that team is priced when they're priced between 3-1 and 5-1, they win. You know, you'll make a profit if you'd have had a level stake on that team, say for the last like 30 games or something. I mean, I don't know. That's the kind of thing I think what you mean, and like, yeah, there might be something in that, but like, I would say that's probably more just due to chance, and it will probably regress to the mean whereby if you carry on betting them when they're between 3 and 5-1 away from home, it will like come back to a level or a loss over the next 100 matches. But I don't know. Like, there might be specific ones where those kind of trends might work. Yeah.
I guess one of the ways that you seem to use data and stuff is you have a spreadsheet, you fill it out with data, you're looking at player statistics, but that's almost like a baseline, and then you're applying context and analysis on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, like that comes first, like the odds and the all the lines and the stats and everything on all those trends and stuff. Like that comes first, and then you decide, oh, that's the way I do it. I look at that first, and then I say, okay, right, is that how much of that is gonna be factored into what I think is going to happen in the next instance of that particular like scenario? I don't think it would be every scenario of that would happen again and again and again the same way. Like every match is going to be different, and yeah, it's not as easy as kind of that kind of trends style. I would suggest.
Yeah, so maybe something Ian can do is look at that stuff and then apply some analysis on top to maybe that's something.
Exactly. I mean, if it's really obscure, then there might be something in it, definitely. I'm trying to think of an example that would be. I don't know, really. If you're looking at like lower league stuff, because all the stats are like there now for like lower league stuff, and perhaps they haven't got a proper, like the bookies haven't completely got a hold of like all the markets on that you can bet on Bet365, for example, on that lower league stuff, and maybe trends on certain teams, you know, at certain prices might work. So I wouldn't put you off. Maybe test it and and see how you go. But just
test it live as well.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm testing it live as well. What do you think about back testing in general? Is it?
What do you mean back testing? Like,
so get a bunch of data and then looking how it would have performed in the past. But
yeah. I mean, you can. That's what I'm just talking about. Yeah, exactly. You can do that.
And so, can you just, while we're on the topic of kind of stats and data, could you let people know what tools you do use for your stats? So there's an app that I remember that you said you use.
Yeah, well, there's a few. So there's an app called FOTMob, which basically has some like sort of simple, like good info on territory and how like tactics and how a game's gone, and has like all the expected stuff. Big chances, like corners, free kicks, and all that stuff, fouls and everything. Like FOTMob's good for that, because that goes down to like lower levels as well. There's Who Scored, which can be useful. The best one for me for the player stuff, especially, is the Opta driven Stat Zone. Is it called Stat Zone? Yeah, Stat Zone. And that is it's basically got dashboards of every player in every game in the Premier League. So, like, basically what I do is like go into every player on a Monday, for example, after the weekend's football, and just update my spreadsheet with all the stats that they've done. So, like, I'll like count like manually how many passes each player's had, and where on the pitch, and just input into my. I mean, it's mildly arduous doing that. But it's
But then I guess you're engaging with it.
Well, and I'm finding out like stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? Like most Mondays I'm doing it, I'll be like, oh, that's interesting that he did this. You know, he was playing in a more advanced position, and he did this on this area of the pitch. That is interesting because, you know, I'll have maybe so for example, like Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez a couple of weeks ago, he played in a more advanced position, and the markets were the same the week after because they just signed like Caicedo, and he basically moved into more of a, and so there was like really good value on him having a shot on target in the next game. He had 5 shots in the next game, didn't have one on target, so that was a really unlucky loser. But yeah, to keep doing things like that, and so it's that stat zone which is powered by Opta, so which is basically where all the prices from like 365 and other bookies, I think they all pretty much use Opta. I don't know if they all do, but I mean, pretty much they all use Opta. So if you get Stat Zone, I think you have to pay a small fee. That is all the data that is basically used by the bookies. So yeah, that's the best one for me.
So yeah, no, that's really helpful. I remember even if it's the one I was thinking of when I looked at it, it's got all these like visual diagrams and stuff of the player movement.
Yeah, it's really nicely laid out.
And you can kind of see the pressure when you're talking about teams and pressure and how that affects a match. You can kind of see that on like visually on the screen.
Yeah, brilliant. Just try it out. It's like so good. Yeah.
So just to go back to match betting for a minute, if somebody's coming to say football betting or your approach to football betting, and they've only ever done match betting before, what would your advice like for that kind of transition from? Because as we said, match betting is like a guaranteed thing. Like what would your advice if someone wants to broaden what they're doing?
Yeah, well, I would say that mine is guaranteed, but each bet is not guaranteed. So each event is guaranteed, as we said earlier. So yeah, it's if you've got faith in your, as I said, if you've got faith in your approach, if you get an approach which is successful, then you just got to keep like, you know, staking wisely and but like big if you can. You know, I always think like if you've got an edge, you want to take advantage of it as much as possible as your bet, obviously as much as your betting bank allows. Bet and gamble responsibly. But yeah, it's I would just say, yeah, find an angle that you're profitable with. That's what I've done, and just like try and get as much on as you can, basically. But as long as you can keep on getting those amounts on if you lose, that's what I do. So,
if anyone, as I said before, if anyone's got any questions for Adam, just stick them in the chat. So I wanted to ask you about a few more things. One is bookmaker restrictions. I don't know whether we want to talk about spread betting at all, whether that's out of the scope of this conversation, but and then also kind of like you shared like sorry, go on.
No, I was go. Yeah, I can start with restrictions if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Because as I said, I'm betting on high level football. They allow you more bet. They allow you bigger bets, and they allow your accounts to be open longer. I mean, you can't have like an unlimited amount on anything like these. You know, it's gone down over the years how much you can get on, but it's okay. Like it's fine. It's enough to make a living, definitely on you know, on this high level football, because they think that the prices are right and you're going to lose over time, and so you can make a few quid and your accounts will stay open. So. Yeah, my accounts go for ages before I have to kind of like move on to the next one.
And I guess, like you said, that's because you're betting on kind of like you are betting in smaller football markets, but you're betting on, you know, bigger football markets as well. So it's and we've talked about this before, like kind of mug bets and stuff like that.
Yeah. So obviously, like as much as possible, you want to put through accounts. Those 1x2 bets, those goals over. You want to put ACCAs on. ACCAs are really good actually because they, you know, if you fancy them as well, is like even better because ACCAs like is the ultimate ACCA football is the ultimate mug bet that they all just say, oh, this account's great to have, you know, to lay bets. So basically, yeah, if you just put in the bets that you like. on the same account as you're doing the more obscure stuff, then like it will kind of like, if you break even on the ACCA stuff and on the 1x2 stuff and make a bit on the player stuff, that's perfect. You know, that's fine, isn't it? You don't need to make money on everything. If you do, your account will be shut more quickly anyway. So yeah, basically put as much as you can on the mug stuff as well, just to dilute it. Yeah, all the good stuff, basically.
And it's interesting to talk about. Dave, I'll ask you a question in just a sec, but just on this topic, because you get friends to open accounts, friends of friends, and then you give them a small percentage, or it almost sounded like a side business when you first described it to me. But it's an incentive for people that don't bet.
Exactly. It's easy to do. Like, you just set an account up and away you go, basically.
Yeah, so football is actually like a good sport to be betting on if you're worried about bookmaker restrictions.
Yeah. Premier League football is absolutely ideal if you're worried about that stuff. Yeah, just don't bet on like Swedish netball or something.
Yeah,
like, don't see a tip on Twitter on like Swedish netball and have a big bet on that, because that will close your account immediately.
Yeah, and it's just to be clear, bookmakers are looking. They're trying to work out which punters are smart and which is money that they're going to lose a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So when I was working for a bookmaker, my job was basically, my first few years was basically to analyze the business. So like to basically look at accounts, especially winning accounts, even losing accounts as well, but having a look at looking at the starting prices. So basically seeing where quite complicated, but like seeing basically where the bets that we were laying were at bigger prices than they were going off at. So like at the kickoff time or at whatever race time or match time, if those prices, if the price had changed from when they had placed the bet to a shorter price consistently, then obviously that is going to be red flags are going to be waving there, and we're going to be closing accounts more quickly. And that's the good thing about the Premier League football, because the prices don't really change. Like I have these like corners and player bets and stuff, and like a lot of the time they won't change. So like it's perfect, because when they're looking at the analysis on a Monday or whatever of your last week's bets, do we want to restrict this account? And they look at that and say, oh, well, he's had a bet there, but it's gone off. So as in like at the kickoff time, it's the same price that it was when he had the bet. Oh, that's okay. We'll keep on. And so that's perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like backing a horse in the morning at 9 o'clock at Dundalk in the evening that's at 8-1 that goes off 3-1. That's obviously if I saw that when I was working for the bookmaker, I'd be like, let's have a look. If he does this a few times, even 3 times, like, we'll let's just chin that account. So it's Premier League football's perfect basically. But any high level sport, I basically limit myself to high level football, and then like Masters golf, like Cheltenham, Ascot, whatever, the Ashes and Ryder Cup. That it's all you need. Like you can make enough from that stuff. You don't need to delve into like the this obscure stuff which is going to get your account closed straight away. Like you might win the bet and make £100 from it, because you're not going to be able to get on much in the first place anyway. But it's just no point in like risking the account, I think.
Yeah, you've got a more long-term mindset than a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. Because you will still be able to get on the player stuff. So on the Premier League. So that's what my advice would be.
And it's doable because you've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So Dave asked, so if anyone, I might ask Adam some fun questions about biggest winners and losers after this. So if you've got any more questions, just stick it in the chat and I'll ask him before then. But anyway, Dave says, hi Adam, will your types of bets be available on BetDAQ?
BetDAQ, the 1x2, like all the 1x2 and like goals and stuff will do. I don't exactly, is it the same stuff as Betfair they've got, which is basically the more like, they do have like stats stuff on there, but less so than bookmakers. Really, it's handy to have a Bet365, to be honest, If you want, if you wanted to follow all my bets, you would need a Bet365. But you could follow some of the bets on BetDAQ. What's the liquidity like, Dave, on BetDAQ these days? I mean, a lot of the time, I find the liquidity on Betfair is like it's gone down a lot in recent years, and so like you're basically taking prices. You know, you can only get £10-20 on like a certain price, and then you have to take the next price down, which then becomes like not a value bet. So you got to be careful. You don't want to just keep taking like the price. You know, you don't want to take lower prices. You want to make sure you get on at the prices, and I just think it's just easier. It's just much more efficient to have to basically be betting with a bookie, really. If there's nice liquidity, and you know, then yeah, you can, you can get on it, but you're not going to be able to get on all of them.
What so you use Bet365 for the prop market stuff, so player passes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any other
like William Hill? Like, well, the other ones do like corners. So some of my bets are more corners. Which team's gonna have more corners, or corner handicap, card stuff like that. Other bookies do like that. Paddy Power are good because they make a lot of mistakes with their prices, but 365, and you can get a bit of a bet on with Paddy Power. They don't lay bets on that prop stuff in the shops, unfortunately. You might actually be able to get on the. I haven't been in there recently, but on the fob tee, on the not the fob tee, is that what it's called? On the machines. No, the fob tees, the horrible roulette things. No, I mean they have sports machines, don't they? As well as those roulette things. They have sports machines which have like the sports on there, and they sometimes have, if it's close to the game, it's like the day of the game or the day before, they have some of the other markets on there. But generally speaking, I would say, and shops can be useful, especially for like anti-post stuff.
Yeah.
Accounts are the best.
Because you can walk into a shop anonymously, essentially, and get on a bet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But obviously, that's the hassle of, have you got time to go to the shop? But do you know what I mean? If you're working, like it takes, you know, and then like if you want a bigger bet, they have to ring it up, and it's like you have to take into account like the time it takes. Like I always think if I can take the price 4-1 online and just get on a decent amount on, you know, like that, or having to like get the train or in my car to get to the shop and get 9-2, which they might not take. You just got to take everything into account, I think, and just do you know what I mean? It's like you got to be. I'm not just going to say like, oh, you've got to get the best price you can all the time, even if it means like driving to Dundee to get. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but yeah, if you're getting value, you're getting value, aren't you? You don't need to maximise it.
No, you don't need to. Well, it's basically like time is money as well, isn't it? So like the time it takes me to get the train to like Paddy Power in Watford, for example, is like that's 2 hours that I could be like updating my stats or like watching a replay of a game, which I find more useful than like maybe being able to get on like half a point better. Do you know what I mean?
Do you watch a lot of replays of games? Or?
Yeah, I try and like basically they have extended highlights on Sky, and some of the obviously matches I haven't watched if I'm out on a Saturday or whatever, because I go to Ipswich still quite a lot to watch their games. If I've missed a game that's on TV, I'll definitely watch that in full on the Monday or whatever, or so, you know, whenever I can during the week following, and try and sometimes if it's a bit boring, I'll like put it in like times 1.5 or times 2 speed, you know, where you can like sort of speed it up slightly, but you can still see where the play is and stuff. You can still analyse stuff. But yeah, just trying to get as much as possible in the mind and brain to help.
Let's cram it in. So I've got just a couple of fun questions just to finish. One is your biggest loser, and then your biggest winner, and maybe some like if you've got a story from your kind of your professional days of working in the high end kind of bookmakers, because I think a lot of people
biggest loser. I don't have big losers. I do have lots of losers. Biggest loser. Thing is, I don't really have massive bets. I can tell you about my biggest winner, because that's obviously like
Branding your memory.
No, it's a big amount. Whereas, like,
yeah, sure.
Loser. I mean, I would have like maybe I would have lose like maybe 10 grand in a month or something, but like that would obviously be over a lot of bets. Do you know what I mean? With, like, some winners in there and like a lot more losers, obviously, to get to that figure. But I can't really think of like an example where I've had a massive bet. Real Madrid last season? No, the season before last, where they played Liverpool in the final of the Champions League. I kept betting them to lose. So like, I think they played PSG. They played Chelsea, PSG, the Liverpool in the final, Man City, and basically they were just how they got through to the final and won the is just like one of life's mysteries. And I just thought like that every time their performance wasn't very good. Like this, all the stats and the numbers, all the context was just against them, and they just kept finding a way to win. And it wasn't because they've got like, you know, the best player. I mean, Modric was like very good in creating like a couple of goals, you know, key moments. But like, it was just the way it happened. It's just what happened. Like, there's no really rhyme or reason to it. And yeah, I just kept up in the stakes on them to go out. Like, I was adamant that like Man City would knock them out over two legs. And I think Man City were like 1-0 up in the Bernabeu in the second leg. Like, Madrid need to score 2 with like a minute left or whatever. And like, City gave it away in the corner or something, you know, in their own corner, like, you know, and they scored 2 and made two extra time and scored an extra time or something. And yeah, that was a huge, that would have been, I probably lost like, I don't even want to think about how much across those 3 bets, back in PSG to knock them out, to qualify in the tie, then back in Man City to qualify, and then back in Liverpool to win the final. I think I'd like 5 grand on Liverpool to win the final, and Madrid like just did it again. Like, they possibly deserve to win that final, possibly, but yeah, it was the game. So like, yes, fair enough, but
I feel like we need to cheer you up now. So best winner.
Best winner. Yeah, that was. I've told this story before. It was like Newcastle to win the. So it was like the last leg of some ACCAs, not ACCAs, but like maybe like doubles and trebles that I'd had for anti-post. Newcastle to win the championship in like, I think it was like 2019, maybe under Rafa Benitez, and I just thought like they were the best team in the championship, and they were like a big winner, and it was like dramatic because the last day they were playing home to Barnsley, and Brighton, who were basically top of the league at the time, going into the final day of the season, had to go to Villa, and basically Newcastle had to better Brighton's result, so they had to get a better result than Brighton did, and Brighton. And Villa had a man sent off. This is the team that was playing Brighton. Had a man sent off. Villa scored. Brighton scored. So and Newcastle had already done their job. They won 4-0 against Barnsley, and Brighton were 1-0 up. So Brighton were going to win the league, and all my dreams were shattered. Would have been shattered. But basically, with like a minute to go, I was watching like the soccer. You know, the Gillette soccer. Jeff Stelling. He was like, there's been a goal at Villa Park. And I was like, oh, Brighton have made it 2-0 probably to rub salt into the wound. And it was like an equaliser from Grealish of Villa. And he had a shot from like 25 yards, and Stockdale, the Brighton keeper, just let it through his hands, like right on the line. And yeah, it was unbelievable scenes in my living room. And yeah, my bank balance was all the better for it. But yeah, that was pretty dramatic, but that was, yeah, brilliant.
And do you have memories of like, or just a quick anecdote from your days in the?
Yeah, like what sort of thing? Like,
I remember you telling me like sort of trying to like you put on big bets to try and trick other bookmakers that a price was moving, so they move the price.
We did that quite. Yeah, we did that. That was quite a common practice back in the day when it was like when you could get, there was more liquidity and stuff. So you'd like basically you'd back like one team or other like selections, like a tennis player or other horses in the same, not against the one that you really wanted to back. So that like, and you did it everywhere. So you put small bets everywhere on marked accounts. So the prices would move on your one would drift out, because all of those that you're betting would be cut. So like they would shorten up, and the one that you really wanted to back would drift out. And then obviously like you absolutely smash the one that has drifted out at like 2 hours later or whatever in shops, because that was in the days where you could get money on in shops as well.
Yeah. Everyone's playing fair then. That's
yeah. No, and yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we did that quite a lot, and that was really good fun. There's loads of good tales and stuff.
Maybe we'll do a whole Q&A on that, reminiscing about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this Q&A this evening, Adam. Is there anything? So I'm going to tell people a bit about your service in a minute. Is there anything you want to say? Anyone coming into that service, what they can expect, kind of thing.
So they can expect, I would say, probably bets about what is it? Probably 10 bets a week or something like that. Lots of good anti-post bets. On a Thursday or Friday, I'll like send out the tips for the weekend. So, if you want to have an acca on those bet set of selection, that's fine. Accas, I don't put people off accas. Some people say, you shouldn't have accas, you should have singles. But if you've got an edge on every bet, then that edge is just going to multiply in an acca. So that's okay, or just betting them singles, and you'll make money over time, definitely. So yeah, it'll be like 10 bets a week. Like I would say to get on the bets kind of as soon as you can, but as I said before, like a lot of them don't move. The prices don't move, and because it's high level football, you can get the bets on. So as long as you've got, a 365 would be handy, because that means you can get all the bets on. But if you've not got a 365, you can still get the bets on in other places. And
there's a lot of members that have been in the service for a long time now. So we have a Telegram chat group, so you can chat to them. You can chat to Adam. Yeah. Just before you head off, Adam, can you just recap what the bet was that you recommended at the beginning? Just, you don't have to do the full analysis, but just the
bet was Scotland to win their Euro 2000 and what is it next year? 24 qualifying group. I think it's Group A at 9-4. I don't know. Obviously, Spain will win their game tonight, so you might have someone push it out to 5-2, which would be an even better bet, obviously. But yeah, I wouldn't take into account much of the bet, because I think they're playing like the dregs of the group, Spain, tonight. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they win that. That's expected anyway. It's all about that game, that Spain-Scotland game, and the games against the respective teams have got against Norway that's going to decide the group. And I just think like 9-4 is a bit big. So yeah, that's the bet. 9-4 Scotland to win Group A of the Euro qualifiers, which will be settled in November.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you for sharing that, Adam. And thank you for taking time out of your evening to answer our questions.
All right. No worries, mate. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Okay. So as I said, I'm going to walk you guys through Adam's service. So let's have a look, shall we? So thank you for everyone who just took part in that Q&A. Thank you for the people that asked some questions, and I hope all of Adam's answers were useful and gave you some insight into how a pro punter looks at the markets and makes a profit over the long term. If you're still watching, that might mean one thing, and that's you're interested in becoming a member of Inside Man, Adam's tipping service. So we covered some of the details of how the service works in the Q&A, and it's pretty straightforward. So you may just want to go ahead and join Adam right away. So I'll activate the membership link right now. So those who want to can do that. Let me just do that. So that should work. So you should see the link. It should be in the chat box or around the webinar window. And you can click on that and it'll take you through to a secure order form where it tells you all about membership. You'll also see on that order form page that as part of an exclusive Inside Man bundle, you can get a 50% discount on the in-depth football betting course that me and Adam made together a couple of years ago. But more on that in a moment. So for those still on the fence, over the next few minutes, I'm going to quickly break down the full details of membership. We'll cover what you get, recommended starting bank sizes, the price of admission, why now is a good time to join, and how you can get 50% off that football betting course I just mentioned. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. So what you get 2 main things with your Inside Man membership. Number 1 is Adam's Tips. Number 2 is access to the Inside Man Telegram community. So first up, let's look at Adam's Tips. So just a little reminder, they've made about 141 points over 3 football seasons, which would turn £100 stakes into more than £14,000. And that's tax-free. So Adam's Tips are delivered via both email and Telegram, and you can usually expect tips several times per week. Adam mentioned can be about 10 bets per week. So his bets are on various football markets, including big ones like win markets and number of goals, and also niche markets like player passes and player performance. He also covers all major tournaments, including the Euros, and when it comes around the World Cup. Another benefit is that because we're betting on football, the prices generally hold for Adam's Tips. In other words, it's easy to get the bets on at the price that Adam recommends, so you're getting that value that we just talked about. It also means that the service track record is a real representation of what you can actually make, because you can put on the bets that are reflected in the track record. So that's Adam's Tips covered. Next up, we have the Inside Man Telegram community. This is a huge part of the service because it's where you can go to celebrate winners with your fellow members and Adam. You can chat about football, football betting, or football in general with everyone. And it also gives you direct access to Adam. In fact, this is the only place you can chat to him one-to-one and ask him your questions about his strategy, etc., apart from the Q&A we've just done. So next, here's again is the little montage I showed you earlier. It's screenshots from the Inside Man Telegram community, including praise from those 2 pro tipsters. That's Mel G of First Class Racing and Neil Shah of NS Bets. So next up, let's talk starting bank size. As we've covered, or as I mentioned at the beginning, Adam recommends a 30-point starting bank. So to make this work, you'll want to start out with at least £500. This makes one point stakes around £16 and 2 point stakes £32. As we discussed earlier, it's Adam's impressive win strike rate of 52% that makes such a low point starting bank possible. In other words, you probably won't see long losing streaks from Adam, and you've already heard how confident he is in talking about his approach to betting, focusing on value, and the probabilities just working out over time. So what is the price of membership? You've got 2 options: monthly membership at £39.97 and annual membership at £399.97, which compared to monthly gives you a good discount. My discount numbers are still messed up here, so it is a hefty one. As an annual member, so if you pick the annual membership option, you'll also receive a free copy of Bet Chat creator Josh Allen's Premier Bets 2023 to 2024 guide, where he shares his top anti-post bets for this season, and many of those bets are still able to be put on. So this usually retails at about £30, but it's free for annual members. That said, whichever membership option you pick, I think Adam's track record more than proves you're making a sound investment, as these Inside Man members echo. Paul says he's very impressed. Chris says it's very easy to find the bets, and Neville says impressive analysis, and Peter S says he's made a good profit. Even better, you're not actually committing to anything when you sign up for Inside Man today. That's because your membership comes with BetChat's ironclad, indestructible money-back guarantee. So that's the 30-day money-back guarantee for monthly membership and 60 days for annual membership. That way you can take Adam, his tips, and the community for a test drive. Simply come in and see if you like what he's doing, and if you don't, you can refund, and there'll be no hard feelings. Just let the BetChat support team know you'd like a refund, and they'll refund every penny as long as you're in the window. Again, that's 30-day money-back guarantee for the monthly and 60 days for the annual. The support team is also there to answer any questions you might have about your membership. And now is actually a very good time to join because we're still early in the football season. So the form of the teams is just starting to settle. And you'll have wall-to-wall football action all the way until June. So that kind of means the longer you wait, the more great value bets you'll be missing out on as well. So I'm talking about bets like Mo Salah to be the top Premier League scorer in the 2021 to 22 season, which made 5 points profit. So about £500 profit, £200 stakes. And then there was Reading to be relegated from the Championship last season, which made nearly 6 points profit. So that's nearly £600 profit, £200 stakes. So if you want to make the maximum possible profit from the Inside Man service, you want to get in as early as possible before 8 p.m. on Friday or just tonight. So there's one more thing to talk about. As part of a special Inside Man bundle deal, you can get currently exclusive access to the in-depth football betting course I produced with Adam called Adam Cheng's Football Betting Masterclass for 50% off the usual price. If you enjoyed Adam's insights into betting tonight, then you'll love this course, I reckon. The course is designed to teach you every step of Adam's betting process, show you how he makes thousands per month without getting restricted by bookmakers, help you get off the tipster merry-go-round if that's what you want, and learn to make betting decisions yourself, show you how to use the laws of probability as a mental superpower for betting consistently, give you access to a community of fellow students so you can learn Adam's insights together, and supply you with a few spreadsheet tools to help you automate parts of Adam's strategy. So there are 7 lessons in total, each of which takes a deep dive into an aspect of Adam's betting. The lessons are the intro lesson, get to know your bet mentor, Adam Cheng. Lesson 1, a bird's eye view of Adam's approach. Lesson 2, Adam's controversial ideas on staking. Lesson 3, how Adam dodges the bookie ban hammer. Lesson 4, how to banish your betting demons. Lesson 5, the power of probability, Adam's secret weapon. Lesson 6, how to compile odds like a master bookmaker. And Lesson 7, Adam's £20,000 per month super strategy. The course content is mostly audio discussions with Adam alongside text guides that make his advice actionable. And there's some videos and, as I say, spreadsheet tools thrown in to help the process. And instead of paying the full price of £199.97, if you get the course bundled with Inside Man today, it will be just £99.97, so 50% discount, which I think is pretty generous for the insights you'll get. So if you'd like more info on this course, you can email clients@thebetchat.com and we can send you the full product page for that, and it has a breakdown of everything in the course. If you have any questions about the Inside Man service, you can send an email to clients@thebetchat.com as well, and we'll get back to you. So that's it. I hope I've done a good job relating why I think Adam's Inside Man service is pretty special. As I say, if you're interested in joining, the membership link for you to join should be under the webinar window or near the chat box. So if you're ready to join Adam, you can just click through there, read through membership details again, and then sign up. I'll stick around for a few minutes to answer any questions anyone has about some of the stuff I've just said. Once again, thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for asking Adam your questions. So as I say, BetChat Josh is saying the discount is correct on monthly membership. We'll go back to the page so people can see the options. There you go. So if anyone has any questions about anything I've just covered, just pop it in the chat and I'll answer. Again, there's a slight lag on the chat of about 10 to 20 seconds, depending on how pleasant my internet connection is being. And no worries if there's no questions. I'll just assume I did a perfect job explaining everything. Again, the money back guarantee on monthly is 30 days and 60 days for annual membership. Oh, there you go. The discount on annual membership is £79.67. So I think it works out, you're basically kind of getting a couple of months of membership free per year, essentially. And we'll send a recording out of tonight's event tomorrow if you want to rewatch any of the bits, go over Adam's insights. Also, the free bet that he gave away, you can rewatch his analysis. That was at the beginning of the Q&A. Looks like there aren't any questions, so I'll just leave it about a minute and then I'll hop off. But thank you again for people attending this evening. I hope it was useful to you. I feel like I might need to get some more lights in this room for the next Q&A. Just progressively got darker. Again, if you've got any questions or you think of any questions after the event, clients@thebetchat.com. You can email us there. And the support team. If there's a question for Adam, we'll forward it on to him and get his reply. If there's a question more about the service that the support team can answer, they'll answer it for you. Cheers, Paul. Thank you for attending. Okay. Well, I'm going to clock off. So thank you again for everyone that turned up. It's always good fun talking to Adam. As I say, there's not many people that can have sustained betting full-time as a full-time career for a decade, so it's kind of a bit of a luxury to get to chat to him. So Victor, that might be a question better answered by Adam or one of the members of the support team. So if you email that question to clients@thebetchat.com, they'll be able to give you a more full response than I can on the fly now. I'll stick the email address in the chat as well, just so it's there. I mean, yeah, the restrictions is something that people deal with in the UK. I don't know what the situation is like in Spain. I don't know if you're betting from Spain with UK bookmakers or but as I say, yeah, just send an email to clients@thebetchat.com and somebody who knows more than I do will give you a proper response. Okay, well, I'm going to head off. So thank you again for everyone that came tonight. And we'll probably hold another one of these in the future. So make sure you tune in, bring your questions then. Thank you to Adam again if he's still listening. And I'll say goodbye.